The inhabitants of Samaria fear. The inhabitants of Shomron fear. Shomron was a place, well, it means those that guard. The idea of those who believe is to guard the Torah, the instruction of Yahweh, to fulfill it. So these are people who claim to fulfill the scriptures, but are not really doing it because they follow false doctrines. Either they follow the letter or just a wrong interpretation. Also, they represent the many, but in a broader way, in the sense that it was a mix of Israel and the nations, or a nation in this case, but it represents the nations that are mixed with Israel, scattered all over the world. So the inhabitants of Shomron fear because of the calf of Bet Aven. The calf, the ox, like the golden calf that the people of Israel worshipped when they came out of Egypt. That golden calf represents the apostasy in which the church is at the moment, because Yahushua came, they claimed to accept him, but then they changed his name, changed his image, changed his commandments, his doctrine, and therefore they made a different one in every sense of the word. So after 2,000 years, they have been worshiping a calf of gold because they see it as a gold mine. Like I was saying earlier regarding how most people just want money in this world, and many of those who claim to be Christians feel the same way as the world. The inhabitants of Shomron fear because of the calf of Bet Aven. So, as I was saying, that calf represents the golden calf. It's not the golden calf, but it represents the golden calf, because then in Israel they built a couple calves for two different places for the people to go and worship instead of going to the temple in Jerusalem, because the king of Israel, when the kingdom separated into the king of Yehudah and the king of Israel, the king of Israel didn't want the people going to the temple, which was part of the kingdom of Yehudah, because they would become friends with them, and then they would not respect the king of Israel. So he made two temples with two calves so that people would go and worship there. So the calf is like the golden calf, which is pretty much Baal, which in English is Lord. So, as I was saying, when they rejected Messiah by creating a false Messiah, the Christ, and call him Lord, they began to worship Baal, the calf of the many, Israel, within the nations as the church. So, now that it says the inhabitants of Shomron fear because of the calf of Bet Aven, for its people mourn for it, and its priests shriek for it, because its honor has departed from it. When the two witnesses are killed, all those people who rejected the true doctrine will begin slowly but surely to realize that what they have doesn't work, that their doctrine will not save them from the great tribulation. And at that moment they will fear because of the calf of Bet Aven, meaning because of the Lord that they worship. So let me see here something. And well, as you guys know, Bet is house, and Aven is vanity, the house of vanity. Also could be translated as house of idolatry, house of sorrow, house of trouble, as the house of the tribulation, the house, the church congregation that will go through the tribulation, through sorrow, through trouble, because of their wickedness, because of their idolatry. So it's talking about the many, the grapes, who follow the calf, the Lord, and that's why they will fear when they realize that the name Jesus doesn't actually save, because it's not the real name. The inhabitants of Shomron fear. Those who claim to follow scriptures fear because of the calf, or the Lord, the false Messiah of the house of sorrow, of idolatry. For its people mourn for it, and its priests shriek for it, because its honor has departed from it.